I hope you can see that. This is what a mutation form looks like. Are you sure you can see that? Okay, it'll actually say mutation form at the top. It'll have Kajiado, the land reference number, basically, for the mother parcel that we have proposed to subdivide or amalgamate, if that is the case. Whatever the action is, it'll be listed here. It'll have the acreage as well. It'll have the registered owner of record at the time the application is made. In this case, it's Goshen Acquisitions. And as I stated before, if someone shows you one of these documents, because the originals are kept under lock and key by the relevant authority, for the mutation forms, it's a survey department, Ministry of Lands. If they're not showing you the original, which they can't, they have to have a certified copy. That's what that stamp is, stamped by the district surveyor on the 9th of May 2022 is when we obtained this copy. And this is what proves to you that this is a copy of an authentic document in the government's custody. You pay 300 bobs for this thing, you present your receipt and they issue it to you. And so that's what the first page will look like. Second page, again real quick, and I know this is a bit technical. This stuff sort of gets us juiced up when we're dealing with them. It may not make sense to the everyday personality who's not dealing with our industry, but it's critical for you to know, especially when you're going to buy land, what to look out for. So kindly track along and make sure you work with licensed professionals whenever you're dealing with these documents. On the second page, that was our proposed subdivision of the 44-acre block of land. We created an access road in so that every parcel of land has direct accessibility. Very important when we're planning subdivisions. We don't like to create spaces where people have to drive behind someone else to access their property. So that's what that page will be. On the third page, if the county surveyor approves, they then issue LR numbers or land reference numbers. That's what these are. In this case, we're looking at 9153 all the way to 9160. There's 8 of them. Each is about slightly more than 5 acres in size. And on the last page, you will have signature of the entity that made the application. In this case, happens to be my signature because I'm the managing director with authority to sign on behalf of Goshen Acquisitions Limited. The company seal will be affixed there. And here we have endorsement by the lands registrar. It's at this point that new title deeds, specifically this along with 7 others, are created, registered, typed, and sealed by the same registrar, if that makes sense. And this is where most of us in the real estate business will stop. Why? Because we already have title deeds. Why do you need to bother with anything else, right? But this is where people go wrong. Unless you get the last portion endorsed, at the bottom where my thumb is, I hope you can see that. This is where the lands registrar endorses. The county surveyor then sends a forwarding letter to the provincial surveyor, right, along with this original copy, fully endorsed. And it's on that basis that they then amend the Registry Index Map. So the Registry Index Map is only amended after that final step, which most people don't complete. And so I know one of the reasons a lot of people have been alarmed about why I stated that the title deed is the most useless document in a property transaction is because many people are holding title deeds and mutation forms even, but they don't have registry index maps. They've never heard of one. No one ever told them about it or gave them a copy, or they've never seen one. The reason that is because, as I pointed out, most people will stop at that second last step because title deeds are registered. The R.I.M. is only amended or updated once the endorsement is made and the forwarding letter goes to the provincial surveyor. And if you have a title deed but don't have a registry index map, please do yourself a favor as quickly as possible. Identify a licensed surveyor. Make sure they're licensed. Ask them for their documents. Don't just take their word if they tell you that they are licensed, because many will offer services without licensing. So ask them for their documents to prove that they are indeed licensed to practice for this year, because they have to renew their licenses on an annual basis. Give them your copies of your title, mutation form if you have one, and they can go to the Department of Survey and trace your registry index maps. Hopefully your parcel is illustrated clearly on the R.I.M. and you're fine. Obtain yourself a certified copy. Just like the mutation form, this one has been certified. This was 13th of May 2022 when we paid for this particular copy, and then you're good to go. And I'll close with why this is important, more so now as opposed to before, because right now the Ministry of Lands, through its Ardhi Sasa initiative, an awesome initiative, I must say, one that couldn't come too soon, is going to phase out mutation forms and deed plans, because deed plans is what we use for lease properties. Mutation forms is what we use for freehold properties. These are being phased out over time as reference documents, because the final authority is the Registry Index Map. So at some point, when they do gazette, as they are required by law to gazette in the dailies, that your region or zone, and they will typically list all the title LR numbers so that you know if your title is ready for new generation version of title, which is required by the new Constitution 2010. Once they do that, there are three main things that they require from you. You present your original title deed to the Ministry of Lands office. You present your identification documents, which is your title deed, national ID, and PIN certificate. You will also be required to surrender or bring with you a certified copy of the Registry Index Map, clearly illustrating your specific property. Otherwise, then they treat your documents as suspect or have to be investigated further to make sure that they are indeed existing pieces of land within Kenya. If the process was incomplete, then they would complete that before they then issue your new generation title. So the last thing you want to happen is for you to go and surrender your documents for updating, and then you're waiting however long it's going to take them to clear your title for new generation. So get it done now. Don't waste time. It's more important than your mutation form. It's more important than your deed plan. It is more important than your title deed, because these can always be replaced provided that your R.I.M. is in place along with your green card, which is in the Ministry of Lands file. So I hope that clears it up for everyone. My point was not that the title deed is meaningless, you know, as a blanket statement. My point was that in the context of everything you need to have secure ownership of land, it is the most useless or meaningless one, or maybe I should say it is the least important one. They are all important, but in the context of a property transaction and the documents that guarantee your secured ownership, it is the most useless one. So if you have more questions about that, please send them in. We're going to take a quick break, 2 minutes, send in your questions, and then we'll answer those when we come back.